Hello, and welcome to Another Home Sold, an educational show about real estate, where you hear from the experts on everything you need to know about buying, selling, or maintaining your property. My name is Steve Verdeli, and I'm a realtor with Wellesley, Caldwell Banker. Today, we are so lucky to have Dale Keiser from the Keiser Law Group to talk about estate planning. Dale, thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure, Steve.
This is such an important part because as real estate is such a large part of somebody's overall estate, and you were so wonderful to help me out with my dad most recently and our family.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And I really wanted to have you on because it was so educational for me and so important to do planning ahead of time so it's not in a crisis mode. So why don't we talk a little bit about, you being an attorney. How long have you been doing this for?
I won't tell you how long I've been doing it for. It's too long, Steve. I've been doing it for a long time. All I do is estate planning and estate administration. I was at a couple of Boston law firms for many years. I left. I came out to the suburbs, and I've had a boutique practice in Wellesley Office Park. We're now in Wellesley Office Park. And we meet with clients, and we do estate planning, and we help them.
And this is all that you do. You don't do real estate law, you don't do divorce law, you just do estate planning.
Nothing else.
Thank you. That's wonderful to hear. And you are at 65 William Street, which is the building right on Route 9 and 128. Plenty of parking, easy to get to, and you're handicapped accessible.
That's
which
exactly,
is very
that's
nice.
right, that's
which
right.
Is very nice. So what exactly does an estate planning attorney do?
Well, we help clients plan for disability, for if there's a death, how they're going to distribute their assets, what they want, who they want to serve in various roles. So we work with clients, we design a plan, we create documents for them, and we help them figure out how they want their assets to pass.
And you register the documents, and you give everybody a beautiful packet.
We do,
It's almost like a book. It's very organized.
Yes, thank you.
And it takes a lot off of somebody's shoulders when it's all organized like that. But
Thank
now,
you for the advertisement, Steve.
I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it because I trust you and I believe in it. So why would somebody go to an estate planning attorney rather than, oh, my nephew's an attorney or my cousin's friend is an attorney?
So estate planning is a surprisingly technical area of the law, and it's not an area that you should go to a generalist for. So you really want to go to someone who concentrates or specializes in this field.
Absolutely, specializing in the field of estate planning.
Estate planning.
Now, what about online and you see these commercials on TV that say, oh, we can do your will for $25?
Legal Zoom.
Yeah, legal Zoom and stuff like that.
So I've seen some of the products. I can't say I've seen all of the products. I've also heard some people say, you can buy a package. My one commentator has said, my lawyer prepared this, you can buy it. Well, they're not necessarily state specific. So, for example, one of them is a California package. Well, that just doesn't make it in Massachusetts. We have different laws here. Secondly, it doesn't coordinate everything. I've seen some of these packages, and what happens is there are pieces left out. So clients will come to me and they'll say, I'm not sure about this or that. So we are more than our documents. We estate planning attorneys, we help people, and it's our experience and our expertise that we help clients with. It's not just the documents.
And these laws are constantly changing.
That's right. It's state, it's federal, it's all kind. So there's an interplay that you really have to be aware of.
Sure. So there are some documents that I just want to kind of go over, and it's a lot. And anyone, of course, who has additional questions, all of your information will be on our website for you. But HCP.
Healthcare proxy.
Okay.
That's a document in which you name someone to make healthcare decisions. And under Massachusetts law, it's only if you cannot make them yourself because you're incapacitated or unable to communicate. So you want to name one person. I recommend it's someone local. And I recommend it's one person at a time, one person and then an alternate.
And really, anyone over the age of 18 should have that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I think for parents with children going to college, I think that a healthcare proxy and some other basic documents are important because once they're of majority, the parent doesn't have access to their healthcare information or anything else.
Even if they're on their parents' health care
Yes.
insurance?
Yes.
Interesting. I did not know that. What about a living will?
So a living will is your wishes regarding your health care, in particular, end of life. So the healthcare proxy is where you name the agent. The living will is where you say what your wishes are. The legal presumption is that everyone wants to be kept alive no matter what, and that's not the case in my experience. So the living will, I think, is the way of saying to your family, I give you permission.
To make decisions on my behalf.
And to not have extraordinary measures.
Okay. HIPAA.
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 HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So that created protected health information, and no one can access your health information or my health information, even if we need them to do it because we're not able to do it ourselves. So a HIPAA release authorizes the release of your protected health information to the people you specify.
Okay. DPOA.
Durable Power of Attorney.
Okay.
That's a document in which you name someone to handle financial matters for you, paying bills, making financial decisions. They must act on your behalf in your best interest. It can be one or more persons. It's broad and extensive, but it's a really important document.
So the dual power of attorney and the healthcare proxy can be two separate people or the same person.
That's right. So, you know, it depends on the person you name, what their skill set is.
Yep.
So it could be the same person who would make healthcare decisions and would handle financial matters on your behalf, but it could be two separate people.
Okay. A will, obvious.
Everyone should have a will, at least have a will where you name who you want to wrap up your affairs. The technical name is a personal representative. That's the person named to wrap up your affairs at death. It's the legal representative. It's a 1 or a 2 year job. It's important to hire an attorney who tells that person what to do, legal, accounting, financial. It's the new name for executor. We used to call that person the executor, but now we call them the personal representative. Same job.
Okay. And revocable trust.
So a revocable trust is a will substitute. We put it together with a will that we call a pour-over will. And this type of trust will avoid probate, so it can keep you out of court, which is time-consuming and expensive. So we can save time and money through the use of a revocable trust. We can, for a married couple, do estate tax planning. We can manage assets in case someone becomes ill or incapacitated. As they get older and they can't manage their money, have some problems, the successor trustee can step in and help manage assets for the benefit of the client. And in addition, we can aggregate all assets, make sure everything passes the way the client wants on their death to their beneficiaries, their children, their family members, whoever they want their beneficiaries to do.
And that's revocable trust.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And they can revoke it or amend it. It's not irrevocable. That's important.
And the definition of irrevocable. That's why you're the attorney.
It's revocable,
Revocable?
not irrevocable.
Irrevocable.
It can be changed.
Okay. So it sounds like all these documents would really apply to everyone.
They do.
And everybody should be doing
That's
this.
right.
What are some common mistakes that people have? I mean, assuming they're not doing these things.
So some people will say, well, I just put my children's names on my bank accounts, or I put a pay on death or transfer on death designation, things like that. They consider that a will substitute. What happens is that the amounts are uneven, so that the assets can pass differently than the way the person intends. So it doesn't coordinate things the same way a revocable trust does. In addition, if the client becomes ill or incapacitated, there may be no power of attorney, no way or no trust to manage the assets. So someone could have to go to court to get a guardianship or a conservatorship or something like that. So having the right documents in place can solve a lot of problems. I'll also hear about people who say, oh, I just put my children's names on my house. Well, that has really serious problems, and it needs to be thought through. It's a gift if you do that. If you sell the house, there are capital gain tax consequences to the children, etc. So there are really good reasons to coordinate the plan and put the right documents in place and not just do this do-it-yourself kind of thing.
So the sort of do-it-yourself sort of thing is really going to put you back into probate court.
It probably will, yes, and will complicate things, in fact.
And add additional taxes.
Add additional filing fees and delays and attorney fees.
Okay.
If we do the plan up front, we'll charge for it. But that is preventative. You know, it's not trying to fix things. When you try to fix things, it's much more complicated and generally more expensive.
And what you're doing here is putting a plan in place with the potential heirs, and unfortunately the deceased person is putting their wishes up front.
That's right.
And organizing it.
Yeah.
And revocable trust eliminates going into probate.
That's right, if it's funded. That's
If it's
right.
funded, great.
If people do their homework. I tell them to do their homework.
I know, you do. When you give homework
I
assignments.
give homework
But you know what? It all works out in the end. It is, and I understand a lot
And
more
you did
about
your
now.
homework.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Okay.
We had a good teacher. Thank you. So what about just doing a simple will? Let's say somebody has very few assets left, or has never owned a home, and just has some money in the bank. What about something like
Yeah,
that?
there are some people who a simple will is just fine for, and we'll talk about it. Sometimes with people, I'll give them an option, option A or option B, and I'll outline it, and that's fine. Just put something in place.
And the worst case scenario is you don't have that, and then what happens?
Well, then there's definitely going to be more question, because assets will pass, retirement accounts and life insurance pass by beneficiary designation. Non-retirement assets, assets that are in your individual name, pass under the laws of intestacy. So the Commonwealth of Massachusetts says who your closest blood relatives are, and that's where your assets pass. It may not be exactly who you want it to go to. And then other assets, for example, joint accounts or joint assets will pass to whoever the joint owner is. So it's a mishmash. That's not a plan. That's a mess.
Yep, it is. What about life insurance policies? Should everybody have a life insurance policy?
I don't think so, but I think life insurance, there are all different kinds of life insurance. There's term insurance, which is sort of renting. There's permanent insurance, which are different. There are different kinds, variable and universal and whole life. And they all serve different purposes. For a young couple, married couple with little kids, there can be some, a few $1 million of term insurance, not expensive, which is income replacement for older, wealthier people. There can be some permanent insurance that will provide for additional wealth or liquidity to pay estate taxes. For business owners, there can be life insurance to fund a buy-sell agreement or something like that. So there are all different reasons to own life insurance. I don't think everyone needs to. If you don't have dependents or family that you support, I don't know that you need to have life insurance, but many people should have it.
And you don't sell any of these products.
I don't sell
no,
it,
you just
no.
advise on them. So, let's talk about, so it sounds like everybody should have the basics that we just talked about. What about some special sort of unique programs that you've worked with, and what do people need that maybe they don't even know that they need something special?
So there are situations where, for example, people have a beneficiary who has special needs. So we can build in the plan provisions for a special needs child or grandchild so that that person has an inheritance and it's held in trust for them in a way that will not disqualify them from benefits. It's a great worry when you have a family member who has special needs. So to be able to provide for them in a way that they can still qualify for governmental benefits that are essential for their well-being and their health, but still have a safety net for them, I think is extremely important and is rewarding. For wealthier clients, we'll also do some estate tax planning There is a Massachusetts estate tax and a federal estate tax. The federal tax has a very high exemption right now, but there are still plenty of people who need to do planning for it. Massachusetts has a very low exemption, only $1 million, so there's some significant Massachusetts estate tax at stake, and we can do some planning for it. So those are some situations where we can help people. We help people who are business owners to have business succession, or who own real estate, to plan for the management and control of their real estate through the use of various entities, like a limited liability company to own it. And people can make gifts of the interests in the limited liability company. So there are a lot of different kind of planning techniques we can use in addition to those basic documents.
Dale, what about folks who have filed here? They have their will, their revocable trust, they have their healthcare proxy, but now we're living out of state half the year.
Oh, good question. So if you are a Massachusetts resident, you need Massachusetts documents. If you leave Massachusetts and establish residency in another state, Florida, for example, you need Florida documents. You also need to make sure that some people will want to have documents like a healthcare proxy in Massachusetts and what's called a healthcare surrogate in Florida. So because they want to make sure they have some healthcare here, and some of them come back here because of our wonderful healthcare here in Boston. So.
Great, that makes sense. So what are the different types of trust, and what are their purposes?
So we talked a lot about a revocable trust. We consider that sort of the basic, part of the foundation of estate planning. That it's, as I said, a way to eliminate or reduce probate, that court involvement. We also do irrevocable trusts for specific situations where people will be gifting. They have a family, they want to make gifts to family members. Sometimes people will want to qualify for Mass Health or Medicaid through the use of irrevocable trusts. We don't really do that, Steve, but there are other attorneys who do that type of work. And sometimes clients will set up irrevocable trusts to own life insurance so that it's not part of their estate for estate tax purposes. So we use irrevocable trusts for gifting, so people will gift interests in various assets to irrevocable trusts for family members. Trusts provide for management and control for the benefit of a beneficiary. I love trusts. I'm a trust lawyer. Of course I do. I think they're the best thing since sliced bread. So they are very helpful. They're helpful to own assets, to own real estate, to govern how assets will pass.
So in Massachusetts, a married couple, one of the couples passes away, everything is converted or back to the surviving couple. So why should a married couple do estate planning taxes?
So that's a good question. If you leave everything outright to your spouse at your death, because of particularity of Massachusetts law, there would be a potential additional estate tax your children would pay. You have to take the amount of the Massachusetts exemption on the death of the first spouse and segregate it. Set it apart. It can be held for the benefit of the surviving spouse. But once it's set apart and segregated, that will pass Massachusetts estate tax free. And that saves the children approximately $100,000 of Massachusetts estate tax.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Well, this is why you should be seeking the assistance of Dale Keiser with the Keiser Law Group
exactly
in estate planning taxes. Dale, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been very, very beneficial to me. You've really helped my family out, and I'm definitely going to be advising other folks that they should be contacting you. Dale Keiser with the Keiser Law Group. You're at 65 William Street, which is right at Wellesley Hills at Route 9. Suite 350. You can be reached at 617-641-0000. That's a great phone number.
Yeah.
And all that information will be on our website. Dale, thanks so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Another Home Sold. My name is Stephen Verdeli. I'm with Coldwell Banker in Wellesley. If you're considering buying or selling or relocating, I'd be happy to help you out. We can create a comprehensive marketing plan to help get your house sold. I can be reached at 617-922-4714. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at Another Home Sold. Thanks for watching, and remember, home is one of the nicest words there is.